Hello. Good evening. My name is Kwabena. Welcome. I want to share with you a topic that I've titled "Different Time, Different Africans." Different time, different Africans. I remember when we were growing up as children, and some of our family people who had lived somewhere would come around, and when they usually came around the holidays, and they would come from, say, America, they would come from, say, UK, Germany, Holland, and they felt like they were rich. They were of a certain standard above the people in the village or in the town. Even if they were not educated, they felt like they were ahead of us. Some of them could not even read their names, could not write. Some of them were middle school certificate holders. But the fact that they had traveled to live in another country, especially in the West, anytime they came, they felt like they are very much polished and very much upgraded, which I think may be true. But why did they not compare themselves with their classmates? And sometimes they even felt like they were higher than the people who had gone, who had far better school or education than them. But the conviction and the confidence that they expressed usually came from the fact that they had lived in another country, and usually they had lived in the white man's countries, in quote, so to say. So when they came, you see the way they would talk, the way they would ask you what you want to do with your life, their accent would change and things like that. And these things happened some time ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago. But surprisingly, there's not much that has changed from that. We still see people who are even our mates. We were in the same classroom with, whether at the secondary level or even at the university level, who happen to, live outside. And when they come home, a lot of them believe that they are still better than those of us who live here. They believe that they are more exposed. They speak in a certain way. If they are engineer and you're an engineer here, they feel like they are better than you. If you're a doctor, you're practicing here and they are a doctor, practicing somewhere, they feel like they are more exposed, they are better, they are more equipped, they know what is going on than you who are here. I would not begrudge them. They may be right, and they could also be very much wrong. It's the same thinking that we have on what the West have done to Africans. Because anything that is grown up there, that is grown up there in those cultures, are seen as of standard. And those who were brought up here, or those who have been trained and groomed up here, are seen as substandard. And the most surprising thing is that we ourselves tend to even believe it more, whether we are here or whether we live in those countries. And that's why we call those countries that we go to as opportunities. In spite of the times that we live in spite of the things that have been discovered in spite of the rate at which communication has improved, we still feel, those who have lived somewhere, they still feel that they are far more better than those of us who are here. Even if they cannot read, even if they cannot write, even if they are just cleaners in New York or in London, when they come here, they are wiser than the professor, and they are wiser than even the president. And you can hear that from the language. It's not everybody who behaves that way, but I can say that very high number of them behave that way, and that they are better, and that they are more exposed, and that probably they have more money. And then you meet a lot of people here, sometimes who may not even be poor and who may not even be less educated than them. Sometimes they are far more educated than them, who still feel that if somebody comes from another country, usually the West, it means they are far more exposed and they are far more better than those who live here. It's a very tough thing to even convince the man who lives here, who is doing something with his life, that what he's doing is worthwhile and that he should continue to do. We're still looking for visa to travel. We're still looking for education, even if the course that they give us does not even apply anywhere. We will still go and get PhD in courses that nobody wants, just because we think that to have education in England, to have education in a lot of these Western countries is far better than what we have here. It's a difficult situation, I know, because one of the most difficult things for the African is to believe that he has something worthwhile. Africans who live outside the continent usually express those kind of tendencies. And so when they come, if you have any friend who has come and they come and they see something which is a bit more improved than when they went, you say, hey, Ghana for baby. And that person may have been here, may have had his first degree here, and will still use those kind of words on us. And some of them don't even expect you to even argue any point with them, because the things that interest a lot of these people is, the things that the bad things here, they interest them a lot and they talk about them a lot. When they hear good things, they're very much quiet on them, but when they hear the bad ones, they call every family member to discuss and to follow. I think it's a conditioning, not because they just want to talk about that, but the culture they live in, the information that they bombard them with about Africa is so negative, so that subconsciously they also come spewing the same kind of negativity on us. You usually hear from them, Ghanaians are not trustworthy. Always they say that. I brought money for somebody to build a house for me and that person misused the money. I tried to do business with this person and he cheated me. Ghanaians are not trustworthy. I will not say so, even though your experiences may support that. I don't think that those Ghanaians especially who were brought up here, had maybe their first school, secondary school, first degree here, who moved to another country, have all of a sudden become trustworthy. And those of us who were left here are not trustworthy. I don't think it's just a sudden change. I think they are pushed to be honest because it's tough to have a lot of avenues to steal without being caught. And that if you are caught, you'll be dealt with. So it's not that they are trustworthy because they moved to live in another country, but because of fear. So if they are caught, they'll be punished, they'll be dealt with. Therefore, just deal with the system. And it's so difficult to have money readily in those countries. So supposedly they believe that they have become trustworthy. It's not true, because when the same people come here after going through all those schools, when they come here and they get any position, political position especially, the same people are the ones who are stealing. A lot of the politicians that we accuse that they are thieves, a lot of them had their education not in Ghana. A lot of them had their education in these countries. So what changed? When they were students there, they were honest. When they came back here and they had political positions, then their values changed. It's because the systems here are still being built. And so the avenues for you to lie to get something is easier. So it's not because when they live in those countries, their values improve. No, their value system did not improve. Their honesty did not improve that much. It's just because the system is well regulated and tough. So if you cut corners and you be caught, you would rather stay in the lane. But here, sometimes maybe if you cut corners, you'll not be caught, and even if you're caught, you could maneuver your way. You know, so it's the system. It's not because the Ghanaian who is here is a bit less honest, and the one who has traveled to another country has become an angel. Because sometimes you feel like when people take the plane and they cross the ocean, all of a sudden they become wise. And it's never so. It's never so, because the value system that you build that can withstand any pressure is not the value system that the system that you live in impose on you, but the one that you develop yourself. You know, so when they come and they say, these are some of the things that you hear, oh, Ghanaians are not trustworthy, you try to do anything with them. I've never met any Ghanaian who is that honest, you are very special. Those are all derogatory terms, I think so. They are put down terms. They just, the same way that the system you live in tries to push you down, tries to tag Africa with you, poverty and lack, and those things that they push on them. When they come here, they also take the same kind of position and try to look down on us. The very few people who I have seen who try to be fair are the people who, one way or the other, I would say, those who are very much conscious in terms of their African identity, so to say. They're very much conscious because they have groomed themselves, they have trained themselves beyond the cultural knowledge that they had when in whichever country that they live, especially in the West. You know, so when they were living in England or in America or in Canada, they tried to learn more about the African history, the African people, what they have gone through, the things that were imposed on us, the things that were not imposed on us, why we behave the way we behave. Those people who have studied those things are the ones who are able to extend the same kind of treatment and dignity if they come to live here at all, or even when they are talking to you. But the ones who are just shallow, because that kind of knowledge for the African to have, to treat his people with respect wherever they are, is not the knowledge that they put out there in school. It's the knowledge that you have to constructively glean, so to say. You have to go for that kind of knowledge for you not to repeat what the society that you live in the West has given you on Africans. You know, so my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about different time, different Africans. And I see mainly the Africans who live in Ghana or live in Nigeria, live in Kenya, live in South Africa, who have had all the education here, maybe it's university education, who have built all their professional, you know, career, so to say, on the continent. These are some of the things that you will see. Sometimes they didn't even go to school, so we classify them. And a lot of them, we say that they are poor. So they are the ones who may never have a house, may never have a car, may live in one room with their wives, their children, they work on the farm, you know, they trade. Those kind of people, we call them poor. And the society is not doing anything to sustain their livelihood. And then there is another group of those of us who are here, who we call the middle class, so to say. Usually they have a middle education, secondary school, university kind of education, who probably are consultants, are bankers, are lawyers, are doctors, so to say. They schooled all here. And so some of the things that the technology, the culture that the people who went to further the education and had their professional training there, they may not have the same kind of psyche in terms of the way you look at life. And so, for instance, the doctor who was just mainly trained here, who has never had any encounter with another culture, his way of practice, his promptness, his honesty, his sense of agency may not be as much as the one who has had some kind of exposure with the so-called developed world. You know, so our way of doing things may not be as much efficient as the ones that you have, but they also have some good side that they have had, just by the fact that they train all throughout here. So I think that a lot of people like that seem to be people who are much more power conscious. Those who train all here, they are much more power conscious. They are much more positional conscious. They have a lot. It's not 100%, but a lot. they have some less respect for people, and they hardly feel the pain of people, and they don't see the pain of people as their pain. And so he has the position as the manager, but he does not link it to the fact that what can I do to help my community to develop. You know, so that's the kind of education, that is the kind of professional training that the first group, I would say, have. And these are the people who had the education here, their professional training, everything. Usually when they are confronted with some of these foreigners, especially the whites, they don't seem to be much more confrontational. You know, they don't seem to be much more, they don't ask a lot of questions, they don't confront them, they don't even challenge a lot of them, because they did not school most of the time with them. So they are much more sober and subliminal, so to say. But they have the advantage. They seem not to have strong values, and that's why if you put a lot of those people in charge of a lot of system which is broken, you have a lot of them being dishonest, because they grew up in a culture which is not regimented, which is not structured, and the value system is also a bit more weak. And so when you have people like that, we classify them. So the Africans who just have everything here, that is the natural tendency for them to just be a bit more laid back, a bit more, you know, they cut corners that quickly. They are not time conscious. You know, they are more of what do I have to get by doing this for you, those kind of things. And then you have they are usually, I've said that they are usually not honest, and it's not a stereotype, it's just my observation. I may be wrong. And there are those who have lived outside. They were not born there. Usually, maybe they are my colleagues, they are my fathers, you know. They schooled here, maybe secondary, university level, and then they went to further their education, and they happen to live there. Those kind of people are usually, some of them are top positions, and a lot of them too didn't go to school. They just happen to have gone outside to find a living. A lot of these people are the ones who usually castigate us. And they complain about the corruption, the bad leadership, the bad healthcare, the bad education, the bad water, and they seem to separate themselves from the solutions. And they are the ones who try to blame those of us who are here as if they are not responsible for the growth of the continent. And so the comfort that they have in the so-called developed countries, they enjoy them so much that when they come here, they separate themselves from the pain and from the problems that a lot of us go through in Africa. And when they come to see even any progress at all, they don't see. They still judge us by the standard that we were when they were going. And they are mainly, wherever they live, the thing is that they are mainly job conscious. They are not the ones usually. They are not in the majority. Yes, you can have one or two, but we cannot do a lot. We cannot change anything when you just have 1, 2, 3% of the people making any effort. I'm talking of the dominant pattern, the dominant culture of such people who move to live in America, in England, in all those areas. It's all just about job. They are not the change makers in the economies that they live in. And yet when they are coming here, they want to be, even the cleaner, when he's coming to Ghana, he's now the expert. And this is one of the most painful aspects, that the man who moved from here because maybe life was tough. Because usually when you move, it's because life is tough. You want a better life, and you could not survive here. When you come back, now you are the expert. You want to teach everybody here, and that, I think, is a pain. It's a pain, especially when they refuse to see any good thing here. And so they are the ones who are always, you know, when Trump made those statements, you could hear the ones who were so much supporting that kind of statement. And they could go every length to debate it and to say that, yes, the man is right. But what he was saying actually was not to the continent here. He was talking of you. You have all been there. They have a lot of billionaires and we don't see you there. They have a lot of business people and we don't see you there. We are the ones cleaning. We are the ones just having a position somewhere. We are the ones sacrificing all our energy to build other people's countries. After all the 100, the 200, the 300 years that our forebears used to build them, we are the ones continuing to build them, and we don't even see anything wrong with it. We are rather castigating the ones that we left here. And it's a programming It's not you. I'm not blaming those kind of people. I'm just saying that it's a program that they have put on you and you don't even know. And so a lot of them are exhibiting the same kind of characters that the people who look down upon Africa exhibit, even though they are Africans. You know, so when they come here, they create that impression that they are wealthy, that they are successful. And the things that they create the impression with is what? It's the car and it's the house. And they come to build big houses that they never live in, they never rent. They bring big cars that they have worked 3 jobs to have. They use credit card to create. But because a lot of the people here may not understand that culture, they give you that kind of respect and you are so used to that. But you know that that is not the reality. And that is painful living in a lot of these countries. And if you had options, you would not, that's not the kind of life that you would have opted for if Africa were developed. Very few people will opt to live outside the continent if we were developed, if we didn't have a lot of troubles. It's the same way. If you want the continent to develop, you cannot just go out and expect us to develop it. And when you are 70 years, 80 years, you want to come to see a developed Africa. It's not true. It's not going to work like that. So the main occupation of most of these people is just job. They are not the ones trying to build businesses, build technology businesses. They are not the ones in the big percentage. Let's say if you have 1 million Ghanaians living in outside the country, you don't have 80% of them trying to cause any change. They wait to get jobs. Whether it's a professor, whether it's a consultant, whatever it is, it's job that they are looking. They are not the reasons for where the jobs were created. They are not the ones building companies. And it's a program. And yet the poverty, the pain of Africa always gets to you. You worry about it. You want to read graphic all the time. You want to hear the news in Ghana. And you are torn between whether you want to help to develop the continent or you just want to live the life you want and get your salary. And it's a program. And it's a painful thing to be an African especially. It's a painful thing. Why? Because the training, the background, and where you want to go and what your continent can support, they are in complex scales. And so this kind of people, I'm talking of different kind of people. It's a different time and there are different kinds of Africans. There are those of us who live on the continent who just schooled here, we never went anywhere, and we try to live the life that we want. We are not that much exposed according to a certain standard. Some of us will become president. Some of us will build business. We use a lot of connections to do whatever we have, and we are being measured by the standard of another culture, which is well built. And so when you come here, you say that the people are dishonest, the people are this. You may not be more trustworthy than them. The only reason that you live in another country which is structured and you are trustworthy is because you are forced to be honest. It's not because you're honest. And so when you come here and the system is broken, you see the way you struggle to be honest and hold values. And so I'm talking of those who are just who have been here all their life and built some kind of, and usually they are the ones who are working with the government. They are the ones who are on the farm. They are the ones when you come from another country, you come here. There's a lot of them, not everybody. A lot of them will give you that kind of respect. They think that you are more advantaged, even if they have built their own house without stealing somebody's money. They still think that the guy who has come from New York is more endowed because of the program. And that usually is not the situation. It's a program. So you live in England, you live in America, you know the struggles that you're going through. But when you come down here, so to say, you still feel like you're better than anybody who is trying to live any life of their own. And sometimes when you even build, when you're trying to build anything here, one of the most difficult things that you have to convince yourself with is that you are doing something that is worthwhile. And yet when some of these people come down here, they want to look at you as if what you have done is nothing. It's a dichotomy, so to say. I don't think we should really rely on Africa is not going to develop by relying on the people who don't want to come to help to build it. Africa is going to develop by the sweat of the people who are here. And that is something that they can only criticize, they can only talk about Africa. They can be concerned, they can bring money here. But bringing money does not mean you're part of the building. You're For instance, if you have a son here and you only send him money, you're just paying the school fees, but who is training him? It's the same. So you could be sending money, which is good, but what physical effort are you doing to make sure that this continent that you so much care about changes? And those of us who you don't even trust here, which we know we may have done a lot of things that did not get your trust, but I can tell you that a lot of you is not that because you are trustworthy, it's because of the system that you live in. And if you had the same system here, people will be honest. People will be honest, because you'll be punished when you do the wrong thing, and it will be difficult for you to get access to free money. You know, so the condemning, I don't think, if I hear a white man, so to say, in quote, condemning Africa, I don't worry about that. The one that I worry about is the condemnation from the Africans, because that one carries more weight, because they condemn as if they are not part of the solution. And yet it's a different time. And so hardly do you get this trait in any African here. Hardly. You see somebody who is very hardworking, who has integrity, and who is continually committed to improving himself. It's very difficult to get the three in one person. Usually you will get that in a person who is coming from another culture, because the culture has been built to value these things, that you put in a lot of hours. That's why people work 3 jobs, 4 jobs, and they are not trying to cut corners largely, and they try to improve themselves, so to say. But even that, not improving themselves, I will withhold that. But at least they work hard and they try to stay within the laws and regulations of the country. Here, it's tough for you to hold yourself with those standards. You know, the hardworking. When I mean by hard work, I'm looking at productivity, getting results, being committed to what you're doing, and not being lazy about whether you're employed somewhere or whether you're doing your business, and being credible, at least treating things as they are supposed to be treated, and going for knowledge and skill building. These three are very difficult to get because the system does not support that. The culture virtually fights against it, and it's tough. So usually when you get people who carry some of these things, most often than not, they may have lived outside the continent and they come here. But when they come with some kind of arrogance, and that's true. And they try to measure everything by the standards that they were living in. And for me, it's unfortunate for you to go somewhere, come here, and feel like you're better than those of us who are here. And you are the one always blaming the system, blaming the people, blaming the behavior of the people. The best we can do is to help the system to change and improve it. And they blame us more than the white man will blame us even. And what you don't know is that we have not really healed from the colonization and the slavery. We have not. We are still exhibiting that. And one of the things that thing can heal is when you get into contact with that culture that came to dominate us. You really understand how they think and how they behave. That's why it's tough for somebody who just grew up here to, when they are working with a white man, to confront them. And those people, foreigners who live here, they know, and they take advantage of that. They know. A lot of major construction companies, when they want to control the workers, they send a foreigner there. And that itself will control them. They will make them calm. It shows you that we have not really healed from that control. You know, so those people who have had that kind of contact, because if you have gone to school with, let's say, you're not afraid of him. If you were in the same school, you probably beat him. So if he's asking a question, you ask the same question. You are not the one laughing with his jokes. You are asking him. You are asking questions. And very few people who lived, schooled here, worked all their life in this culture, have been able to heal that kind of aspect. And they know that. They know. So when they come, they test that. And the Africans, the Ghanaians, the Nigerians, who have also gone through this, they seem to be siding with the whites a lot. They seem to be siding with the foreign culture a lot, in trying to blame everything, and how sloppy and how lazy and how cultural we are, how we don't want to develop. Those are all legitimate. But the thing is that until external pressure is applied to the system, nothing will change. Nothing will change. So those of you who think you have had different kind of work ethics, you can bring those work ethics to improve the country, the continent, without looking down upon the people. Without looking down upon the people, and without getting angry to say that nothing seems to change. And without siding with derogatory terms that they use to describe your own people and trying to use all kind of argument to justify it. How can you justify something that somebody's insulting you and they're saying that we can use the insult to improve? You sure? Okay, so we are going to see the improvement after the insult if you are justifying that. I will not take that kind of thing. I will not take somebody to insult me, especially based on what they have done, their contribution, the complexities of the history of Africans. I will never put up with that kind of insult. Never. Just because I should improve. Because if it were easy, we would have improved. The mind of the people still need to change to improve. The way we do things still need to change to improve. And you are not going to change that just by insulting us. It's not going to work. Or just by getting frustrated and running away from it. Because it's our responsibility to improve it. So if you think that you have gone somewhere and you are well equipped, because sometimes you can have educated people debating you why it doesn't even worth it to live in Ghana, to live in Africa. I have friends who engage you in debates, trying to tell you why it is so unwise to put your energy to build anything here. And these are the complexities that we hear. And then I asked them, what have you contributed to the prosperity of the country that you live in? Because if they were poor, you never have gone. So you went there to enjoy the prosperity. What have you contributed? Nothing. You just took a job and work. That's it. They created the companies before you. They created the product. They created a lot of things. What have you, if you live in America and you're so much infatuated with America? It's okay. But what have you contributed apart from taking a job and paying your mortgage? Yet, when they come down here, you see the arrogance and the insult. It's painful. And it's so difficult for you to, especially when they're educated. You cannot convince them. They have all the World Bank report. They have all the IMF report. They have all the report to support their argument. How can you use World Bank report to support your argument to bring dignity to Africans? How? How? It's not. So, there's a lot of wrong conditioning of the African who lives here and of the African who lives outside the country. And a lot of the times, it's still the slavery, it's still the colonization. The only thing is that it's not physical, but in terms of how we interpret a lot of issues, you can still see the same trend, the same trend of slavery. Because if they control your money, your understanding of money it shows that whether you're free or you're a slave. Your understanding of money and how it comes to you. Your understanding of what you have to contribute to change lives shows whether you're still in the mind a slave or a free man. How you handle your time. You use the best of your time to work to develop a structure, a system that has already been developed. And then when you are 70 years, you want to come here and contribute. How does that make sense to you? When you were young, that's where you needed your effort. So if you did not do that, then you have no right to come and accuse those who are trying to do something here, even if they are corrupt, even if they steal. Or at least they chose to be here to do something. And it's not 100% that everything that they did was wrong. Even those that you so much don't trust, even the politicians, the president that you think they were so corrupt, it's not everything that they did was corrupt. There's a certain percentage that they did which helped to change lives. And so if you know, there's nothing wrong to move to go and study somewhere. But if you spend all your good years there, and then you come to say that we should build Africa, I don't get it. And yet Africa is where the help is needed. Africa is where we have to change. So we need strong financial knowledge and financial skills. For us to change, it's not only for those who are here, those who are there too. Because the only difference between the one who is here and the one who is there, who lives anywhere in the world, is not because they have become better. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. They have only pumped you to believe that you are better than those of us who are here. But it's the same. And they see you as the same anyway. That's why they always ask you, where do you come from? When are you going to your home country? Where do your children may have even been born there, and they still ask them, where do you come from? Because there's no separation between those of us who are here and those of us who are anywhere. So it's the combination. If we can work to develop it, then there will be dignity. You don't need another man to insult us and for us to side with the insult, just to justify. And a lot of my friends who are siding with the insult don't even live in Ghana, don't even live in Africa. They live in those areas. So how would I expect you to even defend Africa in the first place? You can't defend Africa. You cannot defend Africa when you gave up on Africa. And now you are acting as if you're so much concerned and patriotic. How can you be patriotic and somebody is insulting you and you side with them? There's no patriotism in that. Because you turn it around. If Africans were the ones insulting the whites, nobody would take it lightly. Even if it's honest, even if it's true. They will not take that lightly at all. Yet you have maybe 70% of Africans, or 50, maybe 50-50, trying to defend an insult, So it shows you the kind of the mind damage that they have done to us. And you cannot justify this. So whether you live in Africa or whether you live in America, it doesn't matter. They put all of you. They actually think that you're all coming from maybe Somalia or somewhere. So you are the one who think that you come from a hometown that you have house. To the average guy in that country, he thinks that you are coming from a bad house with mosquitoes and with flies around your nose. So when you show your cockiness, they don't get it, because they have groomed their people, they have fed them with all the bad stories. So how are you going to change it that quickly? It's not going to change that quickly. Even if Africa does well, they still feel that the domination that they had on us, it was maybe 400 years or so, it's programmed everything that they think of Africa. Everything. And so racism is institutional. It's not prejudice. Some people try to compare tribalism and racism. They are not the same. Racism is institutionalized. It's a system. It's a structure. In Ghana, nobody is paid less because he's an Ewe man or a Shanti man. In your country, some people are paid less and they are blocked from getting to certain positions because of their color. And that's institutionalized. So the only thing that the African doesn't have, that he needs to get, is improved knowledge as to how the world operates and as to how he can develop himself to get to the next stage. It's not a hateful message for other people. No. We are all mankind. We are all same people with similar knowledge and level of thinking if you develop them. But some people don't believe that. Some people believe that if you're dark, your mind is weak, which is not true. It's just the complexities of history. But you can hide a lot of worthy knowledge about Africans. You can hide good knowledge from Africans. You can hide a lot of them from us. Then you can control us. And that's why the person can be PhD holder in chemistry and he knows nothing about Africa. Nothing about our worth, our dignity, our identity. Nothing. And he has PhD. And those are the people who come out to debate why we're still poor and why somebody is right to insult us and grade us the way they grade us. Because they have some knowledge. But the knowledge to heal the African is not... The knowledge to heal the African is not that kind of knowledge that they put in the school. It's knowledge that you have to go and dig yourself. They are hidden in books. They will not teach you. If they teach you, you become powerful. Who would want to teach you about yourself, about your identity? They teach, even if they track history, you see they go to the Greek. The Greek history and the Greek were the fathers of this, the fathers of this. But before the Greeks, there were some people. What were their contribution? But they hide that from the African, so that they can continue to say that you are idiot. And you also believe it. Because such knowledge does not just come. So you can only control people by teaching them the wrong information about themselves, and that's what they have done to us. And so it's not even more dangerous with the foreigner. It's more dangerous with the African who is ill-equipped and who has some professional position, big position, trying to defend the weakness that somebody thinks you have and justify that. So I'm talking about different time, different Africans. And one of the most difficult things to teach the African is that you're not weak. You're not inferior. You just have the complexities that you have to deal with. It's so difficult for you to teach the African. And if they have gone to school, it's double difficult. Because now they think they know something. And they use the physical things that they see without going through the roots to look at the history and what brought the situation this way. Because if it were that easy for Africa to just jump and go, if it were that easy, why have you not done it? Because there are some things that you need to get out of the complexities. And those things we have not looked at them. You know? And that one of it is the reparation of the mind, that you're not inferior and that nobody should just treat you anyway. And the wrong history that they have told you about it, about yourself and about the world, about everything that you have ever contributed or not contributed at all. And so it's tough for you to get the Africans to do this. And that's why the only Africans who school somewhere, come home and are able to mingle and give dignity to their people are people who have studied a lot of African history, African dignity. Those people. The one who was just trying to just mingle in the global sense of history, when they come, they are the ones who are very frustrated, who are very much intelligent to tell you all the data that does not work and all the unemployment. It's because you can only convince yourself with what you have studied and what you know. And so when I even sometimes get into debate with some people, I want to see their sense of history and their sense of history of Africa. Because with that conscious studying of that, you don't have what it takes to ask questions. Intelligent questions to get intelligent answers. And I'm not talking of the history that they told you about Elmina and Castle. No, I'm talking about strong African history, our heroes over the last 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years across board, whether it's in religion, whether it's in science, whether it's in whatever it is. If you meet somebody with that kind of knowledge, those are the people who can withstand the inferiority fights that some people throw on Africans. You know, so it's not just the fact that you have PhD anywhere and then you can just, or you're a politician or you're a preacher and you can just jump and say anything. And obviously, those people without any sense of that, they are the ones who are defending the insults and trying to tell us that for how long can we justify our underdevelopment. We are not justifying underdevelopment, no. But we are saying that there is something that you have to have for you to move to the next stage, and that thing is lacking in the Africans, and largely is the acceptance of themselves and their identity. And so those of us who just work here, the same thing. So if they don't have that sense, then they are afraid to even question anything. And if they don't have that sense and they live in another country, when they come, you see the cockiness. They have no appreciation for the efforts that other people are even doing here. You know, and they try to describe every one of us with that sense of poverty all the time. That sense of poverty, they are the ones who are very happy to give you all the statistics. Why the hospital has one doctor and why this, and you ask them, so where is the solution? And then they refer you to the president and to the government, and then they talk about Africa's problem is leadership. Africa's problem is leadership. No, those are the global solutions that that's what everybody is saying. Is that true? So if we have identified that our problem is leadership, okay, for the last 50 years, what have we done about it? It means that the problem is not the leadership. The problem is the identity. The identity. For them to see themselves as fully qualified as any other group. That is the problem. And so you are referring to the position, but the problem is the identity. The African and his identity. And so it's a different time. And so that's why you don't need to get to another country to live the life that you want. Whether you want to start a business or anything, you don't need to believe that if you get to America, then there will be opportunities. That is not true. That's an error. If you don't know, go and look for the statistics and see. If you can believe that the opportunities are where you are, you see them, no matter the hostility. But if they can tell you that your country is, that thing that is a shit, if it's shit, then what do you need it? You go and look for somewhere. And when you go, you're not even welcome. You're not even treated as a human being. You're not even given the opportunities that you deserve. You just have to fight double to get that. You have to fight 20 times to get that. It doesn't worth it. Your fighting here will help build the continent. Your fighting here will help change destinies. And Africa is our number one duty, if you're an African, to get it developed. And it's not somebody else, it's not World Bank, it's not the IMF, it is our duty. You know, so you cannot sit somewhere and just be talking about Africa and think that Africa will develop and is there. You know, those people who become president, you look at it. Even if they went somewhere, they came and they put themselves through the processes. They sacrificed, they fought. They led a political position, they built businesses, they built something. And then along the line, they got the opportunity to become the president or something. You know, and those people who believe in themselves and who believe in their continent, when they get to that position, you see that they change things. And those are the people that we want, not those who are just siding with anybody who insults us to say that it's right. It's not right. Nobody is right to insult you, even if you are wrong. Because you don't insult them. There are a lot of things that they are doing that is wrong, and we are not insulting anybody. You know, so I am talking about different time and different Africans. And my argument is that there are two kinds of Africans, or maybe there are more than two, or maybe 3, 4. But I'm looking at the ones who just had the education here, were born here, had the education here, developed all their professional things here, and they work here. Usually, when they meet those who also maybe were born here, but went to school somewhere, they say that they are experts. And when they come with all kind of modern technology. They seem to look down upon those of us who are here. And usually those who are even here are looking for the so-called opportunity to go and join them. Then I ask myself, so why are the Chinese coming? It's the mind. Why are the Chinese coming? If here is bad, why are they coming? It's only bad because of the information that we are processing. And so the other people who have gone to live somewhere for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, they don't have the conviction to come here and withstand something and build. That is not there. So the only reason for them to justify their decision is for them to side with another person who says that Africa is bad, Africa is shit, so that they can pacify themselves with their decision that after all they were not wrong. And you don't have to be wrong to run away from Africa, but you cannot continue to castigate and blame people of a continent that you were born on. You can only defend that continent. Can you imagine if the man referred to the Arabs? In spite of all their problems, you think they will put up with that? Never. But you have Africans, half of them, defending the slave owner. It's amazing. But it's a problem of knowledge. It's a problem of knowledge of who they are and what they stand for. And that knowledge has been craftily taken away from them. And so it doesn't matter their positions, they are still trying to find themselves. And anywhere you meet any African without any sense of proper history, he's trying to find himself. And you cannot find that self just by going to church. It's not there. It's not in church. It's in the books. It's in the facts. It's in the history. And so you can control a people by taking their sense of history from them, their right sense of history, their right history. If you take it from them and you put another wrong thing there, just go to sleep. Any stupid thing that you talk about them, they will agree with you. Because that's what they know. That is what they know. And so, whether you live here, they say that we who live here, we don't have anything, we are not standard, we are corrupt. You know, the way that you meet some Ghanaians, or some Nigerians, and the way they talk about their own fellow Nigerians, it's amazing. Oh, Nigerians are crook, Nigerians are this, Nigerians are that. Are you also Nigerian, living in another country? What makes you think that you are not crook? As a matter of fact, they see you as crook. You're also a Ghanaian. You live in that country, and you think you're better. No, you are only better in your head. They still think you're like us. So don't describe us with those words, and don't think that you're better. You're not better. Because those who control that economy, those who hold the power, are not the Africans. I will only side with you when they mention the first 100 billionaires, and we have maybe 10 of them being Africans in that country. Then I will side with you. But if they are looking for the cleaners, the watchmen, those who are cleaning, weeding, the factory hands, and the majority are the people who look like me, then that I cannot put up with that. That cannot be accepted. So when a lot of you are doing those kind of jobs, we cannot say that it's an opportunity for you to go there. No, you're just a factory hand, a factory feed. A lot of our people are just nursing home assistants. We cannot put up with that and say that is an opportunity. It's not an opportunity. We should just call it out as it. It's just something to stop a gap. There's nothing wrong with working to help your family, but don't see it as an opportunity. It's not an opportunity. Why is it that only the Africans are doing it? When I went somewhere and I saw the people who were sweeping on the street, and I look all of them, and they all look like me. Like, why? Those who were cleaning all the shops, they look like Africans to me. I couldn't get it. If you say opportunities are here, why are they not the parliamentarians or the business owners or the billionaires? Why are they the least in the class? Why are they the least? Why are they the ones who are doing all the menial jobs? And you call that opportunity? That is not an opportunity. That looks like slavery to me. That's not an opportunity. Yet Africans are sleeping. We are not thinking. We are not asking questions. You go to Holland, go to Germany, go anywhere and look at the percentages of people who do the so-called, even if it's job, the so-called proper jobs. The Africans in the largest thing are not the ones doing the proper jobs. Yet when they come to Ghana, when they go to Nigeria, they want to be the boss. And I don't get that. I don't get that. We have to ask a lot of questions and put a lot of things in perspectives. That when you come, you are the one to even be more sober and see how much time you have wasted doing some of these things just so you have to survive. And there's nothing wrong if you have to survive. But don't see it as a better opportunity than being anything in your own country. We cannot put up with that kind of analogy. You are only convinced because that is the information they wanted you to have. That's why you're convinced that even if you're a cleaner somewhere, you're better than the lecturer at Labour. In Ghana, that is a lie. That is a big lie. It's a conditioning. It's a conditioning. That's why the African child or the American, when the American is even poor and he comes to Africa, he thinks that he's still rich. It's programming. So they program others to feel like they are powerful, and they have programmed our people to feel like they are nothing. So you break through that. So it's a different time. It's a different time. It's a different kind of Africans that you're dealing with. So you are not going to. There are a lot of Africans now in Ghana who probably schooled there, who have come here and who are working, and they never feel like they should live in another country. There are a lot of us like that, and they never feel like they are disadvantaged just because they are trying to live their lives. They are trying to build something with their lives. You know, and that's the kind of consciousness that we have. And those are the people when you put somewhere because they believe in their continent and they believe that their continent must develop, they are not the ones stealing. They will not steal. They want to work to bring dignity to their own people. You know, and so when you want to come, those are the people that you look for. Those who are here because they want to see that the continent develops, the continent gets somewhere. So it's a different time. Don't deceive yourself to think that just because you live somewhere and you work 2 jobs or 1 job and you send money home, it means that we're still very backward. We are not still that much backward. There are people here who are trying to do something, no matter the hardship, no matter the problems, there are people here. And the thing about it is that when you are even there and you want to retire and come home, you see the problem is when you want to retire. When you are 60, then you see the quality of the choices that you made when you were young. And a lot of them, when they get to 60, they look back and they are not proud with it, living in such countries. And so, not everybody will live here, that we know. But don't carry that sense that because you live somewhere, you are better than those who are living here. Or you're wiser. It's never so. If anything at all, those who are living here have more robust muscles to stay here because you think that here is bad. And if here is bad and somebody is living here, then probably that person is more courageous than you. And maybe more honest than you to face the reality. You know, so my name is Kwabena. I am talking about different time and different season, and I'm talking about the conditioning that they have done to us as Africans, the convictions. Sometimes when you go to East Legon and you see some of these people who come from some of these countries and the way they behave, I'm like, when you come, you should rather be sober. and look at what can we do to contribute and to develop our continent. But they come acting like they own that country, and yet they are the least in that country. And it baffles me. It makes me wonder, are you seeing rightly? Do you think rightly? Because you can have individual jobs that you think that you're successful, but as a group of people, when they talk of the Jews, they can talk of them as controlling wealth in those countries, even if they don't come from there. But when they talk of the Africans, they are not controlling wealth. So how can you be that proud living there? They are not the ones controlling power. So you cannot be the ones being proud. You should be the ones who want to change things. Especially change your country, change your continent. And yet, I'm sure, the ones who are even controlling the power, then when they go to their country, they'll be more sober. And they'll be more respectful. And yet those who move from here, not even those who were born there, if you were born there, at least you don't have any sense of of that, that attachment. But if you were born here, you finished school here, you went there, you even have my accent, and yet when you come here, you want to tell us as if everything here is wrong. It's amazing. And then those of us here too, the hypocrisy. The person may be building a house, maybe 3 houses, and he'll still be calling you for money. It's amazing. He has a good life, but when he meets you, he will show himself like he has nothing. It's hypocrisy. Those who are born here, those who live here. Africa is a complex scenario, but it's our duty to break it down and to solve it. So I don't think that there's any disadvantage living anywhere. And if there is any advantage at all, it's a commitment to develop this continent. So don't be deceived, and don't think to support those who are trying to describe your people as weak and marginalized. You should rather be the one who, and don't use it as a self-study. It's not a self-study. You cannot describe yourself as weak and expect to be wrong, to be strong. So my name is Kwabena. I hope what I said makes sense. It's one of the most delicate subjects that I always get to discuss with a lot of people, because one of the most difficult things that you talk about with Africa is that Africa is not poor. You get a lot of statistics. You get a lot of facts. People will rebut you. People will fight you. They even say, sometimes when they even see any rich person here, they say, oh, all of them are thieves. Maybe they are right. But there are a lot of people who are doing the right things also here. And so if you want to do something, get to those people. There are people who believe in ethics, who believe in hard work, who believe in intelligence, and who may never have lived anywhere. They're just here. There are a lot of people like that. And so don't always classify us as if we are the most dishonest people. There are people who believe that they can do something and do something well. So the debate and all that they talk about us is a complex situation, but I think we can all heal ourselves from the personal level that hold your people in dignity. If you meet your people, treat them with dignity. Even if they are wrong, take your time to tell them that they can work hard, they can be more honest, they can have integrity in all that they do, they can continue to grow themselves. And if you all talk to people like that, and you make them see the reality that if you go to England or you go to America or you go to anywhere, you still have to work hard to survive. You still have to work hard to build a livelihood for yourself. And you are not the ones controlling the economy. You are just at the bottom. Just let your people know that these are the realities. We are not the ones controlling. We are not the billionaires there. We are the least there. And so if you are the least there too, at least come and help us to be the top here. And here too, we are trying to be the least, which is not good. Which is not good. So my name is Kwabena. I hope I'm able to say something a bit more intelligent to you. So I think we can treat our people with dignity. So when you come, be sober, be calm, and know that one of the things that we don't know, and because a lot of our choices, whether we chose to live here or we chose to travel quickly, and which a lot of people want to do anyway, they finish school, the next thing on the agenda is to move. It's not because here is tough. That's not really the case. It's because we have limited information to make intelligent decisions. Because we think naively that some way is always better. And we think it's it's easier to make money some way. We think. We don't even think that money is a proof of financial knowledge that you have, financial skill that you have. It's a proof of how versatile you are in terms of you being able to build a business or build a company, something like that. If you want money, that's how you make money. There are the people who have made a lot of money, honest money, so to say, a lot of them own companies and businesses. And so when you rush to become a cleaner, you will just eat and feed your family. That's fine, but you are not going to be wealthy. That is a fact. And when you build a house, it doesn't mean you're rich. You just have a house. Those are the harsh things that the Africans really have to understand and know. That building wealth is different from owning a house and a car. Building wealth is different. Wealth is the structures that you have that bring in the money beyond what you use. That's the only way that you're going to be a billionaire or something. It's not you being paid salary. Very few are paid salary in the companies that they became millionaire or billionaires. Very few. And those even may have stayed with the company for a lifetime. So there's a lot that we can learn from ourselves. So it's a different time. It's a different thing. And so thank you very much for watching. Thank you.